In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we're going to help you work out what to do when your clients say, I can't afford you anymore, I'm leaving. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Today, we've got a really important show for you. It's all around what to do when someone says, I'm leaving because I can't afford you, whether there's been increasing costs or whatever it is that's going on in their environment. And we're bringing into the podcast lounge for the first time, Clare Elliott, our MSP finance expert. Welcome to the show, Clare.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So we've been talking in the Growth Hub and the question's been coming up and the situation's been coming up quite a bit lately with, I can't afford you anymore. I've been reviewing my costs. At the time of recording, right, it's March 2025. There's a lot of increasing costs going on right now, a lot of increasing national insurance, taxes, all sorts of other things that's putting a squeeze on people's personal finances and also on the business finances as well. We'll probably touch into that a little bit in the moment. But Claire's working with us at the Growth Hub and our amazing clients to help them work out their finances and what they need to do and what they shouldn't be doing and what's best practice and all of this kind of great stuff. So we're going to dig into giving you some tips and some tricks on what to do when someone phones up and says, hey, I'm leaving because I can't afford you anymore. That's the episode, what this is all about today. But before we get going, Clare, just share with everybody, who are you, what do you do, and who do you help?
Yeah, so I'm your finance guru in the hub. So I work with whoever needs me at the time. So come to your alignment sessions, the intensives, so come to the day sessions that we do. So get involved with people doing little workshops and answering questions that they have. And then outside of that, we often have little one-to-ones with clients, answer questions, go through their financials, do a little review for them, whatever, really, whatever they need, finance, that's me.
Fantastic. And what's your history in the MSP, the IT channel, in the finance section, as it would be?
Yeah, so I've been working with MSPs for the last 7 years, I think it is. Yes, got involved in that industry about 7 years ago. Have quite a bit of experience now, and obviously even more so being in the hub
Yep.
because we
Yep.
have so many clients.
Yep.
So there's so much information that comes into the hub, so much knowledge that's shared through the hub. Yeah, so I have some knowledge of that industry now.
Fantastic. That's great. And the insights that you're providing and the support, I need to be doing this. We'll talk about one of the frameworks a little bit later on that we've launched, which is really exciting. Clare, from your point of view, from a finance point of view, not necessarily from an MSP point of view, what's your kind of feeling? What's your gut feeling about the rest of this year? Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on across the pond, noise, media, that's political noise, as it would be. In April, we have got this in the UK, this hike in national insurance, haven't we? We've got the minimum wage, we've got other bits and pieces going on. Do we need to worry about this? Do we all need to? I saw a poll on LinkedIn yesterday. Do you want to leave the UK? Do we all going to run away? What's your kind of gut feeling with this? Because you must have, in your experience, you must have been through these situations before and gone through the other end. Is it going to be a car crash in your view, or is it just something we just got to get on with and just work out how we can work through it? What's your kind of take on it?
Yeah, I think I don't think it's going to be a car crash. I think it's just the same as any other year. We always have challenges. Budgets always bring changes. There's always politics. There's always underlying currents going through. So I don't think it's going to be a car crash. It's just going to be another year. And the most important thing to do is have knowledge of it and plan for it. Know your business, know where you are, know where you want to go, and then you'll work through it. Costs are always going up, always got trouble with your clients, there's always service
Yeah,
issues. All of these things don't change, do they? It doesn't really change over the years. But what is most important is knowing your numbers, knowing where your business is, knowing your clients,
yeah,
knowing where you want to get to, what you want to achieve, and being and setting yourself up for success. So being in a good place to today is going to get you through the next financial year. Yeah, there are some big hikes. National insurance will impact. Depends how big your business is as to how that
Yeah.
impacts, but it will be an impact. Same with national minimum wage. Depends how many people that impacts in your business. But remember, everyone's in the same boat as well. We're all in
Yeah.
the same situation. So costs are rising across the board with everybody. So it's not a surprise that you are going to be putting your costs up to your clients because they know that's coming. They know it's happening. They're doing it to their clients as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, so I don't think it's going to be a car crash if you're well prepared. That's key, isn't it? It's being prepared.
Absolutely. And I like a nice lifestyle. I like money, but I find numbers boring. And I think a lot of people find numbers boring as well. And we know that there are people in this world like yourself, Claire, who find numbers quite happy. I quite enjoy
Yeah,
playing around with the spreadsheet and having a bit of fun and doing things like that. And I think probably if someone was to say to me, what's the biggest impact you've made on business owners since we've been doing what we're doing? It's raising the awareness of knowing your numbers. And some people don't like to do it because they're a bit scared what they're going to say. But when you've got an economic tremble, I think we'll call it, coming up, knowing that you can weather it, a bit like the pandemic, we didn't really know what the hell was going on there, but a bit like any kind of change with interest rates up and down, costs going up and down, clients going up and down, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, knowing your numbers and understanding what that looks like ahead of the game is it's your responsibility, right, as a business owner to and an
yeah.
employee and a mother or a father to know what's going on in the business, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And where are you going? If you don't know your numbers, where are you going and how are you going to get there? What's your goal? Because ultimately, your finances need to be in a good place
Yeah,
to progress your business.
yeah,
And I think it is quite scary. I think it's also a harsh reality. So if your business is going really well and you know that it's good, then your numbers are quite exciting, aren't they? Because you see
yes,
them going up,
yes,
you see them
yeah,
changing, and you want to understand them, you want to be involved in
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah,
If it's quite challenging, then it's quite scary because
yeah.
it is the cold, hard truth. It is the
Yeah,
reality. So sometimes it's not nice to see it,
no.
or it's easy to bury your head in the sand. It's
Yes.
easier to not be aware of it than to actually try and do something about it. And that's the other thing in the hub as well that we get a lot of questions about how can I change it? What can I do? Because sometimes you can see that it's not working, but how can you change that? How can you make something successful? And that's not just from us as the experts within the hub, that comes from the hub and everybody in it. Everyone's got their different ideas,
Yeah.
everyone's been through it. Whatever question is raised, there will be someone else, at least one person who's experienced it. Yeah, so I think it's quite scary, it's quite daunting, but it's the reality. It's
Yeah.
absolutely what you need to do. You need to be aware of your numbers.
And if you're not, if you're listening to this now going, I'm going to bury my head a little bit and I'm going to continue to listen to stuff, you need to just rip that plaster off and you need to understand some of the basics, your cash flow, your profitability, where your costs are, where the income's coming from and maximize. We'll go into that into another show. But today we want to talk about that moment when you have an amazing client who's been with you for 3 or 4 years and they phone you up and they say because the other thing you just mentioned there, most MSPs generally up to about 20, 30 people, maybe 40 people, something like that in the UK. It's not going to have an impact, the national insurance, but it's not like you've got 300 or 400 employees. Now, the thing is that your clients might have 300 or 400 employees and they might all of a sudden might be at the tipping point where they're going, outsource, we need to bring this inside, or they might actually there could be an opportunity to flick it the other way, actually, couldn't there? So
Mhm.
that's another podcast. Wow, look at this, first time on, and I've already got 2 other podcasts lined up in my head. When the client comes towards you and says I'm leaving, it's almost too late, isn't it? What can we do before that to make sure that we understand and we've got a line of sight of what's going to be going on with our happy clients?
Yeah, I think you're right. The point at which your clients come to you and say that, you actually should know it. You should be expecting it
Yeah,
because there will be a reason, and you should be having an inkling as to that reason. And I think it falls into two categories, doesn't it? It might be related to you and your service and your business and what you've been providing for them.
yeah,
It might actually be nothing to do with you, and you've just
yeah.
touched on it. It might be that we've got our own economic issues and we need to make a change for this reason, and that might be completely outside of your control. Or you might lose a client because their business is not viable anymore. they need to close down or whatever. So it might be completely out of your control. But before you get to that point, I would say try and keep it within your control
Yeah.
and try and do everything that you can to make sure that the service you are offering them is what they need and what they want, and the best that you can be. So things like, I guess the obvious one is account management.
Yeah.
So doing your consistent check-ins, having somebody that stays in touch with those regular updates, be proactive. So don't wait for a problem to arise, actually be on top of it. So do those monthly check-ins, preempt issues, make suggestions, give them ideas, because you don't know what you don't know. So they might be sitting there thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know what this situation is. But if you tell them, then you're just aligning yourself with that customer,
Yeah.
aren't you? So be a partner with that customer, be a business partner
Yeah.
to them. Also, preventing issues is good for them. It makes you look good, it's being proactive, but actually it saves you money as well because you're not having to constantly rectify problems. You are actually preempting and stopping problems arise. Those check-ins, that regular communication, being proactive. It could be that you send updates, it could be that you just do like newsletters of trends, latest changes. You might want to personalize it to your client so that it actually does resonate with them. Case studies, testimonials, all that sort of marketing stuff, that's really good as well. Sharing their story and sharing stories of how you've helped other clients and how
Love it.
that might
Yes.
relate to
Love it.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a good one as well. So develop that relationship. B, make sure you are the reason that they're successful, but most importantly, make sure they know that you're the reason that they are
Yeah.
successful.
I love it.
Because you might be
Yes.
doing something amazing, but they just might think you're doing the bog standard. They
Yeah.
don't know what you're doing if you don't tell them. They don't know that
Yeah.
you're watching their servers in the background, picking up little incidents that happen, and you're quietly fixing them. They don't know that. So tell them. So make sure they know that you are being proactive and seek out those opportunities to big yourself up. As
I've just written down here, there is a possibility you may need to resell the value to them about what you're doing. If you haven't been operating
Absolutely.
a regular account management process, then they've obviously not forgotten you, but they're not been nurtured like this. And there's a whole thing that we've done previously around account management and how to re-engage clients and things like that. Because there might be the point, now that everybody's listening to this show, Claire, who knows their numbers, that in actual fact, I don't want to save this client. They're actually costing me a bucket load of money. What's some of the quick checks and balances that MSPs can make sure they've got in their business so that they know that the client's worth keeping? Because that's not always the case, is it?
It really isn't, and you'll be amazed at how many people. I think you generally get a feel for whether a client is good or not good, but actually, so many MSP owners don't really know the profitability of that client. And we break it down into these three key areas, don't we? So we have the projects which are quoted
Yeah.
independently, so we can make sure they're profitable. We have our services that are recharging of our managed services so we can make sure they're profitable. But it's the support, I think, it's the
Yeah.
contracts that are more difficult because you do need to be monitoring your time, your service to those clients. And I think that's the thing that is actually harder to measure, but we have to measure it. You have to understand whether that client is profitable or not and whether you do want to keep them. But you should know that way before you get
Yeah.
to the point of them saying that they're
Yeah.
leaving. If you're at the point of them leaving and they're a brilliant client, that's on you. That's such a shame that
Yeah.
you've allowed
Yeah.
that to happen. If you get to the point and they're leaving and they're actually a really poor client, that's still on you because why are they still there? You should have been pricing them out
Yeah.
before or
Yeah.
asking them to move on before that point. So do everything you can not to get to that point with a client. Like really know their business and know what you're giving to them and tell them the service that they're offering. I think as well, I think we've all been in this situation where you'll see another company do an advert for something and it's a brand new shiny ball and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, my service provider doesn't do that. That's brilliant. But if you ask them, they probably do,
Yeah.
but they're not
Yeah.
telling you.
Yeah.
And what a
Yeah.
shame to be doing all this work and not telling your clients. Really understand your clients. Yeah, really understand every single service that you offer to your clients. Know exactly how profitable that is.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. So when they come to you and they If unfortunately there's someone comes to you and they're already looking to move, there's a pretty good chance you're in the losing race anyway because they've been asking around. But let's talk about pushing back on price, because,
Yeah.
and this could even work when you're trying to acquire a new customer, because as this is going along here, as this podcast is going along, I'm thinking, Claire, how important is it that MSPs have a tiered system for their packages, like gold, silver and bronze, 1, 2 and 3? Because we hear different versions of this, don't we? You can pick which one you want, or this is the one that we recommend. What do you find works best for the MSP and for the client?
That's an interesting question. And I don't think that we have an absolute answer to that because I think it very much does depend on the MSP. Some businesses do focus more on specific industries
Yeah.
and they know the industry, they know what they need. So they possibly don't need the tiered structure.
Okay.
Maybe if you've got a bigger offering to different industries, different types of customer, that might be where the tiered structure is beneficial to you. So I don't think there's necessarily a one size fits all, but depends on your MSP really, and if you can manage those tiers as well, because you do have to be able to put the resources into managing those tiered structures, the people behind it, and also I think having a clear definition of what you're offering. So if you're selling a bronze level to a customer, don't slip into giving them a silver service because
Yeah.
that actually happens as well.
Yes.
You've got to be very defined in your processes. Your team have to know exactly what they can deliver to that client and what they can't and what needs escalating for quoting because it can get quite muddled within your internal processes. So if you're doing a tiered structure or pricing packages, then make sure that is very clearly defined with your team so that they also understand that.
And that could be where potentially on your projects, on your services, on your help desk is where you could get cost creep, where all of a sudden I've been working with, I did some really great work for John today. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. That's not in his package. I've now got to
Yeah.
go back and invoice him. So making it as clear as you possibly can is really important. And another thing I heard the other day, which still frightens me, is that, we've got our support packages and then we have a security package and it's up to them which one they should get. Best practice is what we're hearing right now is that security packages for an MSP in 2025 should not be an option. They are, this is what you get, this is what you get, this is what you get. If you don't want to have that security that's going to keep the MSP safe, then you need to question whether or not you want that customer at all. Because if they don't take security seriously, and there's different ways of selling security and adding that value and all that sort of thing. But number one thing, we want everybody who's listening to this podcast to be here next year. We don't want you to be hacked. We don't want you to be compromised and everything like that. And if you're not telling people and advising them and saying this is our minimum security package to keep you safe, if you don't want it, we're not going to do business together. And I think that's really important. And having this,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you've then got 6 packages, haven't you? And start to have a little bit of this. Oh, can I have a bit of that and with a bit of this? And then, as you say, if you create this pick and mix, this packaging, then it just complicates everything, all the costs and everything like going down, which
It
is
really
really,
does. It complicates it for you internally. So if you've got the structure to cope with, that's absolutely
yeah.
fine. But if you haven't, it's that classic KISS, isn't it? Keep it
Yeah.
simple,
Keep it
stupid.
simple. Yeah.
Sometimes that really is the best strategy because everyone knows where they are and your clients know where you are as well. And I've also seen it where clients, coming back to the security, clients don't have the security that you want to sell them. They're just opting not to. It's fine, we'll take a risk, it's
Yeah.
fine. Something then goes wrong, you have to then put a team in, it becomes a project to try and help that client out. The cost of that is so
Yeah.
extortionate, it can be so extortionate, and it can run away as well. It can run away with the client, but it can run away with you. You might be putting so much into helping that client because you feel that you need to, that you should, you want to help them. And who's benefiting? Nobody's benefiting from this. So I
No.
think having your standards and only selling your standards, having your minimum requirement for your, because you are then protecting your
Yeah.
business, aren't you? It's not just
Absolutely.
about your client, it's looking after yourself as
That's
well.
number
So,
one, isn't it? Is
yeah,
as they
absolutely.
would say, fit your safety, your oxygen mask first, and
That is
that's the
true.
key. That's the
Yeah.
key thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I
So
like that analogy. That's a good one.
it's one of Stuart's actually, but don't think you wrote a
We
blog
won't
about
tell
it.
him.
Don't tell him. No, don't tell him. Knowing when to walk away. We've spoken about your numbers, your profitability, and all of that kind of thing. And sometimes you can, if you don't know that, you could quite easily scramble and then start offering discounts and this and that to try and keep that customer. And the worst thing you want to do is do that and then find out that you then do your numbers and then you realize, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I've just signed them into a 3-year contract and I'm not going to make a bloody bean because of X, Y, and Z. Do we need to know a cut-off point? Is there do people need to set barriers or particular areas when they just go, do you know what, I'm out, and be brave enough?
Yeah.
I think it's about being brave, isn't it? To know, do you know what, we're done with this? How does that kind of show up sometimes?
Yeah, you say brave, but I would say be prepared because
Right.
if
Okay.
you know your numbers and you
Yeah.
know where you are, it's an easy decision, isn't it? You're not
Yeah.
being brave. You're just saying, actually,
Yeah.
no, you're not helping my business. Therefore, I'm not going to be good for your business. And that's it. And it goes back to the start of the conversation where hopefully we're not going to be in this situation because we will have been so proactive that we won't get to this situation. If you are in this situation, it's already out of your control.
Yeah.
It's from some other factor and you've already lost that
Yeah.
client. But yeah, definitely knowing when to cut your losses, when to walk away. You should absolutely know that ahead of the game with that client so that you're not in that situation of looking a little bit desperate, trying to move quickly, trying to save the situation quickly, because the first thing you're going to do is discount. And that is one of my pet bugbears, actually, is discounting. Where is that getting you in the long run? I think discounting can be good for product sales because it can be a very contained thing.
Yeah.
That can be either a quantity limit or a time limit. So special deals and discounts can be great if they can be contained. So it could be a containment in terms of quantity. So we have 20,000 products to give away. It could be a time limit for the next month. We're going to do this. But for a service industry where you're selling contracts, as soon as you start to discount or give away, that's for life. That's for the
Yeah.
life of that
Yeah.
customer. You can't make it up. You can't get that time back. So scrambling to get a special deal or a discount to save a customer is just not going to do you any favors. Absolutely not.
Particularly not the next month when Microsoft might decide just to go and put their prices up again. And then all of a sudden, if you've included that in, which is why it's always a good recommendation, isn't it, to have your prices in part of the package and then the licensing separately. So that when they put their prices up, it doesn't look like you're increasing your costs. It's just a license thing that just happening in the background. So absolutely
And I
brilliant.
think as well, shift the conversation as well. So come back to everything we were talking about. So know your value, know the benefits that you're offering, know your USP, shift the conversation back to what you're offering that client and why they should stay with you. So rather than try and discount to save the situation, say, this is my value, and this is why you should be staying with me. Because if it is salvageable, then that's going to be the thing that saves it, not really the discount. If they're not happy with you, the discount is only going to last for so long, and they're still not going to be happy
Yeah.
with you.
And you can also ask them if they have decided to go or they are thinking to go with another MSP, is trying to find out what they're offering to see if it's actually comparable. Because half the time when someone
Yeah.
says they're going to do it cheaper, one's offering apples and the other one's offering pears, aren't they? So they are completely
Yeah,
different things.
exactly. So again, comes back to this transparency. Make sure that they know what you're offering.
Yeah. We hear it so many times that someone goes there, someone's up against a client who's given them a price and they're going, I don't know how you could actually deliver it for that. So they've either lied
Yeah,
to them or they are just not going to deliver anywhere near that service. And that's why when we talk about the marketing, the positioning, the value that you're talking about, your job as an MSP marketer, as a business owner, is to educate in what good IT looks like and what bad IT looks like, so that when you have these conversations, they then see the value and they see the reason and why they need these particular functions or features within the package.
yeah, absolutely. And I think if you're honest, and we've seen it, we've seen this happen, is that you be transparent, you be honest, you say, look, I can't cut my price, and this is the reason why, this is the value that you're getting with me. Allow them to leave. They often do come back. We have seen them come back because what they have been sold elsewhere isn't the same.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
comparative service
yeah.
offering. And then they do suddenly realize, oh, yeah, no, it actually was good. And yeah, I do need to pay the money because that is what I want. So,
So don't burn your bridges. Offboard them professionally, providing that you're making money out of them to start with. And you want them to come back, because if you don't want them to come back, then
well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
if they are that customer, you can do that. And then when they come back, you can put their prices up and then say, "We shouldn't have bloody well left to start with, should you?"
exactly. I like that. Very good.
Claire, thank you very much for your insights today. I think it's been really reinforcing, actually. I think many MSPs will sit there and some of them will be sitting there going, yes, I need to do that. And some of them will go, no, I'm pretty good, actually. I've got most of this kind of stuff covered, which is really good. So please share this episode with whoever needs to hear it. But just before we wrap up, Claire, what's the top 3 things that the MSPs need to take away from today's show.
Oh, okay. So top 3 things. Know your numbers. Know them inside out, backwards, upside down, everything. Know everything about your numbers, your profitability in all your different areas. Be proactive. So that's your account management. So don't get yourself into this situation in the first place, and then you won't be surprised that your
Yeah.
customers are leaving. So either know that they're staying because you're offering them amazing value for service, or know that you already want to get rid of them and you'll be managing that situation out. So don't let it be a surprise to you. And I think demonstrate your return on investment to their business. So do that proactively so they know exactly what service level they're offering. But then if you are in this reactive situation, do it again. Don't revert to this discounting.
Yeah.
Show your return on investment to their business.
Great point. Remember that costs are not going to go down. They're always going to go up. And that includes your costs, your supplier costs, energy costs, everything else. Costs are going to be going up. So a conversation I had with a client the other day is that if you don't put your prices up, you're being very generous and you're giving your profit back to your clients. So well done you. And that's holidays, cars, houses, pensions, and all of that kind of great stuff. So a little bit of a punch in the guts to the end. Claire, been a great show. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Bucket load of value
Yay.
as usual, and the MSPs will hear this, and I think they're going to be hearing a little bit more from you. Thanks again for your help with this today. I look forward to catching up with you soon. You take care.
Great. Thanks, Ian. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Oh, but one last thing just before you shoot off. And if you're curious about how this episode links with the ability to scale your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, accelerate to 5, then we want to invite you to come and take the MSP Mastery Quiz. And in just 3 minutes, you're going to get a 360-degree scan of your business where you can identify the 1 or 2 tactics that can help you find more time, engage and align your people, and help generate more leads in your MSP. It's really simple. Just click on the link in the show notes. And if you have enjoyed this episode, we'd love to get some feedback from you by means of a rating, review on Spotify or iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. We really appreciate every single one of them. Now you can go and enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to catching up and connecting with you soon. All the best now.